we work with professional services firms, when we work in compliance heavy areas, there is always a question saying, but what about latest government updates? Whether it is an update for an airport, for an airline, for a tax consultancy, for an accounting firm, there are new guidances coming from the government, from international bodies. How do you make sure you capture all of that knowledge also, so that our employees have everything that they need in a single place? And that is the challenge, the paradox today. Companies are working really hard to build internal knowledge base, but employees are going to a Google and a ChatGPT because the internal knowledge is not sufficient. The numbers say so too. Over 50% of employees in a research by a leading Big Four company said that they don't trust the accuracy of internal knowledge and always want to go out and check for information. Over 85% employees say that they have to do it because the internal knowledge just doesn't cover all the topics that they want. And so, in both scenarios, what we realize is employees are looking for a solution which can take and give them the best of both worlds. The question is, this comes at a risk. Say tomorrow your employee goes to a chat GPT and runs a search. What are the chances that the information is 100% true? I have a very funny story that happened with one of our customers. When we were pitching this product to their IT team, they said, but why not chat GPT? Us pe to sab information milti hai. And I said, I'll tell you why. Because the structure of chat GPT is such that you can train it to think like you. And so he said, how do you do that? I said, I'll prove it to you. Start talking to it about the geography topic, and you will be able to convince Chat GPT that sun rises in the west. And he did that experiment while he was on a call with me. And at the end of his conversation, Chat GPT agreed that yes, sun rises in the west. Now, when you have an AI that is so flaky, can you give it to your employees? Can you trust it? That's the question we are trying to address today. How do you give a wholesome, comprehensive AI experience without the risks of it? I'm going to now introduce our speaker for this session. We have with us Mr. Vikram Bapat, the COO of Dhruva Advisors. Dhruva is a firm that has been for a decade one of the strongest players in the tax advisory space. A little couple of points about Vikram, and then we'll open it up to you. Vikram is currently, like I said, the COO at Dhruva. Previously, he's been a partner at Grant Thornton. He's also been a part of the tax team at PwC and a senior leader at RSM. He also has corporate experience from the Tata Group, Thermax, and the Venky's Group. So he brings both domain and corporate experience together. He's a prolific writer. He writes articles, holds sessions on various topics in the domain of tax. And in his personal time, he is a keen trekker and a student of military history. I think being a student of history, Vikram, you will definitely understand and be able to articulate the importance of credible information. So we are very, very thankful and very lucky to have you as a guest today.
Thank you, Ketki. Thank you.
Wonderful to have you, Vikram. We're going to jump right into it, Vikram. I want to talk to you about this paradox of knowledge work that you at Dhruva have over the last decade. I learned through our conversation, have built an ecosystem of knowledge that employees can go to, and still you find the employees go to third-party sources. Can you talk a little bit about why that may be, and also then what are the risks of doing that?
Sure, Ketki. I think that's a great way to start. Let me just take a step back and I was reflecting upon the topic that you were talking about. I remember when I got into this profession of tax 35 years ago, any firm that was in professional services, not just tax, but across professional services, there were two things that you had to take care of. People, because primarily it's a people business, and knowledge, because it's as well as a knowledge business. And today, 35 years later, I see that there's a convergence of both of them, right? The analogy that I can take oftentimes is that 30 years ago, a pilot had to have navigational skills. He has to be, he or she would have to look outside the window and say, okay, where do you think I am? And how do you think I'm going to navigate this aircraft? Today, I think the person sitting in the cockpit can well be a computer geek, because everything is either loaded information in that computer or it's there in a manual, and you can just fly the plane blind, not literally, but and I hope not, but that's the analogy they can take. So just stepping back and saying, so today the question that I have in my mind is, do I need a tax professional who can understand tax? And I'm just talking in the context of tax. It would mean across all dimensions. Or do I need a person who is quick in assessing where to get that information from? What is the skill set that I need? I think, and that to me is the biggest paradox.
Very interesting. Whether you get the information of the domain or you get the skills to find that information about any domain. The way I it is when I did my MBA, they didn't really teach us anything specific. They taught us how to learn, and so applying that becomes our job, our skill set. So very interesting. Thank you for that. Vikram, tell me a little bit about how you have set up your organization. What is your internal knowledge base? What are external sources? How do you curate that so that your employees know that they can go to some place and find information quickly?
So like every other knowledge-based professional, and we are purely knowledge-based, like tax, income tax, GST is pure knowledge. Not only knowledge, changing laws, changing the backgrounds of international tax, domestic tax, all of that. So I think I can safely say I wasn't in Dhruva 10 years ago, but I was in the profession 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, as I said, were, we used to constantly be under pressure to keep clients updated. And how we kept them updated is making sure that we are able to get into a taxman or an ITR or any other, where a court has actually delivered a judgment today. How best can we get that and analyze it and be the first movers to actually give that information today? And that's how our databases were built up, right? So we have, and we still have, actually, all our firms, we still have, I'm sure every other firm has, we have a knowledge and solutions team whose only job is to actually monitor all of this, right? Monitor what are the changes in the tax law that's going on day to day. And some of the tax laws, for example, income tax comes once in a while. It comes through an act or it comes through a, whereas something like a GST comes through a lot of circulars, a lot of, on a daily basis, there are some clarifications. So who keeps tabs of that? And it used to be all driven by people. And that's why knowledge and solutions team was always there. It was always there, had to be there to be part and parcel. In fact, when one step I didn't say everybody needs to be a knowledge contributor. So it's not just the KNS team. It's like HR, right? HR is the function of everybody. Everybody needs to look after people. But the HR function is to facilitate everyone else to make sure that they are doing the right things, that they have the tools to do it. Now, I think the way I see our KNS team, it's gone to the next level, right? The next level, of course, is to figure out that before anybody else talks to you about artificial intelligence, the KNS team should be telling our people about what to do with artificial intelligence, right? Because now artificial intelligence seems to be, of course, forget about the buzzword, it's more than a buzzword. And even that is changing, as I've seen in the last 1 year, how much the engines themselves have changed. And we'll talk about that, as we go ahead. But I think to answer your question, therefore, the way we have built it up is that we are at the moment at the cusp of trying to utilize the power of technology, the power of artificial intelligence, while still somehow keeping that balance, saying that people are still, or human beings are still superior, right?
Yeah.
I question that every day, whether we still feel that human beings are still superior. As of now, I can safely say that's the case. I don't know what's going to happen 10 years later because the algorithms are much faster than how our brains work, which is a fact. And I don't want to be there on a similar seminar like this 10 years from now, trying to figure out where we are.
I think you're absolutely right. Tell me a little bit about so what you said makes sense that Previously, there was a team of people sort of sitting as content creators, content collectors, moderators to ensure that you are able to generate internal knowledge as well as external knowledge, validate it, and then make it available
Correct.
to employees. How is that changing today with AI? How are you seeing people in your firm look at external knowledge? Firms that we work with report a lot of employees randomly using ChatGPT. Have you noticed that? Have there been any, I hope not, but have there been any alarming incidents that you can think of?
Uh, Fortunately not. And
Hmm.
the reason is that we are still conscious in telling our people
Hmm.
that don't rely on what's there in the net. And that also has, in my view at least, it has also uh, transitioned from what used to download first on Google or search engines such as Google,
Hmm.
and now what AI and AI engines can actually do, which is far far more than what a Google search can do. So obviously,
Exactly.
uh, but I guess uh, the so what I see people do today is, fortunately, it is still the fact that, okay, I've got something very quickly. I've asked a question onto a particular engine and I've got an answer, but let me not take it for granted.
Hmm.
There are people who will take shortcuts, and I know somewhere that question of speed versus accuracy is a very critical question, but we'll probably address that also sometime later. Uh, but to kind of again get down to your point, which is very important, is saying that how do we convince people? Because I clearly see there are two sets of people. Some people swear by AI even today, and they feel that AI is God for us. Right? The moment I have a question, my God, I checked it once and the question was absolutely accurately answered, which means they assume that the next time also the answer will be accurate, which may not be the case. And that's where the risk lies. That because you've gone on one experience, your second experience need not be the same. So you still need to question that there's some places that AI will not be able to address. Let me take a small example of what happened with me recently. Okay, I had a technical question on foreign exchange management,
Hmm.
which I said, okay, let me get this question out from AI, let me test it out. Okay, so I gave it an elaborate prompt. Okay, and I therefore got an elaborate answer, which was very nice. It was really reading extremely well, and it gave me clauses and paragraphs of a particular circular issued by RBI and all of that.
Hmm.
And then I actually picked up the circular and looked at it, and I found that the references to certain of those paragraphs are incorrect. So then I went back to the engine and I said, look, I'm sorry, it is a what you have given is a detailed one. Thank you. However, when I looked at the circular, what you have referred to, I'm just taking an example of, you have referred to is paragraph 8. It is actually not in paragraph 8, it's in paragraph 10. And Pat came the reply from AI saying that, oh, you're absolutely you're absolutely right, and you did the right thing by doing the verification. You're correct in saying that it is paragraph 10 and not paragraph 8,
Yeah,
right? And that's what reinforces in me when I train people or when I have to train people, saying that you're as good as your last answer. Your last answer is was perfect. Don't assume that your next answer is going to be perfect.
absolutely. What you're saying is really right. We see that AI is here to make you feel good about your interaction, to make you feel successful. If you feel answer barabar hai, to wo barabar hai. Veracity for AI is secondary to making the user happy. And I feel like that's the biggest risk that organizations today look at. Um, Tell me, let's come to the topic, right? Why do employees do it? It is speed versus accuracy.
Mm.
GPT may or Perplexity pay, they can quickly go and without having to read through reams of documents, they simply get a ready answer. Source hai, citation hai, that's enough for them to not even want to go and check. How do you, in your organization, how do you personally think about speed versus accuracy? Since you said that there have not been any incidences because you've been able to tell your employees to double check, what have you done to educate them on the difference between speed and accuracy, and what is it that they should aim for?
No, so I'm glad you picked up my cue right away. When I talked about speed versus accuracy. Uh, so I think here there is an external angle that we've got to be very, very careful about, right? Our clients are always going to be speed. Okay,
Hmm.
our clients are always demanding speed.
Yeah.
And the reason why I've seen some of the clients demand speed now, and I must say that I'm not in my role as CEO, I'm not front ending with the client, but I have enough
Agree.
experience of 28 years in tax to understand how our teams today
Yeah.
are probably facing up with clients. Clients themselves are looking up AI, right? So they ask us a technical question. They look up their whatever. They must be doing their own AI
Own
analysis,
reference.
getting their answers ready, keeping it on the side, and then making sure what we are giving them is it accurate or not. I'm sure they're doing it. Okay, I don't even want to guess that. Uh, and therefore, teams are now getting under pressure to say, and at least some of them, I can say half the teams are aware that this is what's
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm.
I can still say half the teams are still oblivious to the fact that clients are sensible enough to do that, right?
Hmm.
But let me assume that by the time we finish this
Sessions.
webinar, everybody will be aware that clients have access to AI. Right? It's that
Yes.
fast. So the teams are also under that pressure, saying that
Hmm.
we know that they're waiting for their answers. They already probably have an answer now. What they need is our
Confirmation.
assurance, and they don't want to wait, right?
Yeah.
However, as our partners in the firm, or even as every other leader who's leading these teams, okay, it is our job to make sure that at the end of the day, the clients get an accurate picture. It doesn't matter if what they have got is something and they question us, because as long as we have the conviction of what we have finally brought out on our opinion or our paper, okay,
Yeah.
is not only based on AI. See, some of us have been in this business for 25 years, right? So and I'm talking, and there are lots of people on today in this webinar who've been in business for a lot many years. They have that knowledge,
Yeah.
and AI cannot fool them, right?
Hmm.
Just as I gave you the example of the paragraph, I had the sense of looking at the circular. I may not remember the paragraph number, but there is
Hmm.
a logic that hits me, that's saying that no, this is illogical, there's something wrong, and that's what makes our teams question. So the seniors in our team will make sure that they talk up to the client and say, look, you want it fast, we'll give it to you in 24 hours, in 48 hours. But don't ask us to give it to you in 12 hours because you think AI will generate everything, right?
So,
And tax particularly is such a subject. Sorry, you were saying something?
I mean, do you say that they actually address the fact that we know AI is doing the job for you, but we want to be thorough? So they
No,
say that to the clients?
no, not explicitly.
Okay.
But implicitly they know, right?
They know.
Everybody knows,
Got it.
right? So,
Got it.
but explicitly they don't.
Huh.
They don't say. Nobody says
Huh.
that. So we when we give our opinions, we give it in a certain form. We give it in a certain format. We have
Hmm.
to go through the facts. The important thing about at least our, and it's the case with, for example, even in medical science,
Hmm.
right? The facts determine the end result.
Right.
AI does not understand those facts, right? So it is only the application of the facts to the final principle. Are we
Hmm.
able to get the final solution?
Yeah.
And I've tried that even with several engines to give them a set of facts. Yes, AI can do it. There's no doubt. It can
Right.
appreciate the facts, and it actually comes back to say that based on what you
Priority.
have said, this is the answer. They do it. AI
Hmm.
engines do it. But the thing is, your discussion with the client, the AI doesn't know. And I'm just
Hmm.
taking that as an example. That's where we need to come and make sure that the speed is important, but accuracy is imperative.
Hmm.
So we don't compromise. If I have to go back to a client and say, look, give us another 24 hours because I want to make sure that we're giving you the right opinion, we will. So we will still prefer accuracy over speed. And if you have to stand up to it, we will stand up to it.
Fantastic. So tell me, how do you solution this then? How do you create a place where there is internal knowledge, of course, but there is accurate external knowledge that is being brought in, fed into an AI system, or or the right AI tool is used to bring knowledge from outside, which then can give your employees accuracy and speed both.
Sure. So I think there are two or three parts to this. One
Hmm.
is we know we can't do everything. right? So again, I'm speaking in the context of tax, which is what I'm closest to. So, for example, when I talked about case laws, High Court, Supreme Court coming up with decisions every other day, every day, perhaps. Uh, do we have the wherewithal to keep tabs of that? No, right? So we use other service. There are service providers who specialize in this, right? They are well-known, portals like Tax Sutra and others who are known and who have been in this business for a long time, right? We know that they have a very robust methodology of downloading cases because they are anyway public documents, having a team that will analyze it in the right way, make the head notes for us, and send it to us, and then we will access the that particular portal and download it. So we don't, the headache of actually going into that doesn't doesn't come on to us. But then what remains with us is there are five case laws, right? And we are trying to make sense of five case laws with differing judgments to meet a certain set of facts. And who is going to then apply that mind of trying to put five case laws together and making sense of saying, okay, which one actually applies to us and which one may not apply to us? You know, so 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 first part is that we use several other third party external sources. The second, I think what, and I must credit technology for that, is that we may miss out on certain areas where we may not know that there was something, because India particularly has so many laws and so many regulations that there was one interesting case law that I read and some time back. I wish I had the citation here, which actually the bench held that there are so many. Normally the position of law is that it's a Latin maxim called ignorantia juris non excusat. It means the lack of knowledge of law is not an excuse, right? So there was one particular case where somebody said, "Oh, I was not aware that there was such a law." So they said, "Look, this is the maxim." And the court actually held saying that there are just so many laws that it is impossible for some a single individual to maintain it. So we understand the hardship of the petitioner here, and therefore we still feel that they're not at fault, right? Now, with that background today, AI gives us that, certainly technology gives us that advantage that, you can just type in a query and you'll suddenly realize that there is something that you never knew.
You didn't even know
We didn't know about it. So that's and therefore I would still say that things like AI, Google are important because you can just type out the query and at least it gives you a cue. It gives you a cue. If it doesn't give you an answer, it'll give you a cue. So that's a second. Right? Google still remains Google Guru, Google Dada, and AI still remains important. Any technology always important. The third is, I've kind of seen there's one particular portal I forget the name called. So when we deal with clients or when we meet people and we have to look at their backgrounds to say, are we dealing with the right companies? Do they have any? Are they withholding anything from us, etc., etc., etc. There are now, websites that actually give you a search of whether there is any case against them.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, right? So I think these are the two or three things I think we still rely on. It has to be done. That is where external knowledge comes to fore. But the art of putting that together is still our internal KNS, right? They put it together and they create that position paper that becomes an IP for us.
Yes.
At least today.
Yes. Wonderful. No, I think that's a very good insight. Tips, and we'll come back to this towards the end, but tips for organizations that carefully curate your sources that you trust and make those accessible for your teams. And then still think of having, a Google search or a GPT as a source of knowledge, but have somebody moderating it. So, like the KNS team at Dhruva moderates this content before it reaches the employees. So I think that's a very good insight. Vikram, I want to flip the coin a little bit. I'll give you an example that a partner told me. He says, there is one side of external risk, which is when external knowledge comes into a company and it's not verified, and we've spoken about it. The other is when our knowledge goes to external tools and we don't even know about it. So the example he gave was, sometimes we create these audit reports and the presentations are PDFs, but they're very large. So our team will just recklessly go and upload them on random third party compressed PDF type places without realizing that you are giving away your knowledge to a tool which has not been approved of by our organization. Has that been something that you have thought of, seen of? Because we use these tools. I've personally previously used it to compress my passport without realizing, the kind of risk I'm putting my own data at. Is this something that you have thought of? And do you have something that you do or suggest to people to do for handling these kind of externalities, which are also data risk to your knowledge because of AI?
Oh, that's a very insightful and thoughtful question. So of course, on the one side, all our engagements, all our outputs have
Hmm.
certain legal, um, caveats,
Okay.
right? For example, which I think every professional firm today has, is that
Hmm.
whatever we give you is privy to you only, right?
Hmm.
You don't have a right to share it with anyone else. If you do, it's yours. So we don't have any third party, as we call third party liability. So
Hmm.
a third party cannot come to us ever and say, something you had said this, and I
I
located it.
applied
I
it.
took that advice and I went
Yeah.
forward, and now I've suffered a loss.
Yes.
We're not liable for that because we've never dealt with
Correct.
you, and
Correct.
we have made it very clear that to give it to anybody else.
Um, are we losing Vikram? Um,
Yes, I think we've lost him.
Vikram, we can't hear you. Guys, possibly some network error. Let's give it a minute. I feel bad. We were doing a really good conversation. Looks like internet with this rain is playing a little bit of a game with us. Please, guys, use this time if you have any questions, any ideas, thoughts, suggestions on how you manage internal content with external content. Please tell us your tips or your questions, experiments that you have done. We would love to discuss them. Uh, I can see uh, Kavita has left a comment. Kavita, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session. Let's see if Vikram jumps back in. But any other questions, anybody, please feel free to ask us. Hi, Vikram. We lost you for a
Hi.
minute.
Yeah. I just typed into AI to find out how do I get back in. No, no, I'm joking. No,
Always the
yeah,
assistant.
I don't know where you lost me, but I think I just closing on the point that one of them is to make sure that you have your legal
In
caveats
place.
in place, saying that
Yes.
look, we are not responsible. This information is
Mm.
leaked out by you. A lot of companies come to us. What about our subsidiary companies? No, it's fine. Ask us, we will allow
Yeah.
you. So that's one part of it. The second part, of course, is uncontrollable, right? What goes out, goes out. I mean, there are times when I have, for example, typed out Vikram Bapat on Google. Okay. And it's
Hmm.
surprising what comes up sometimes. Something that I done in 2014 comes up, right?
Right.
Now, if somebody goes by that, the laws have changed since then. It doesn't make any
Absolutely.
sense. But then I don't think those are in your control. Those are not in the way it's going, it's in nobody's control, right? But I think the legal safeguard is important. So as long
Yeah.
as the you or your organization or your firm is safeguarded from any
Hmm.
potential third party liabilities, you've got to make sure that that happens. What
Perfect.
the client does or what people who have received your information do is not in
Hmm.
your control.
Can't help it. Correct.
But what you can do is in your control.
Perfect. Vikram, we have opened it up for questions. If we'll check the chat for any questions, we got some comments of folks saying thank you. We want to wrap up the session. We are at time already, a little beyond that. Give us final recap and tips how companies, decision makers, leaders should think about internal and external knowledge, how they should think about AI, they should think about a secure, trusted experience that they can give their employees. Tips from you or best practices from you.
Okay, let me start with another small experience I had with AI the other day.
Sure.
So I wrote something out. Again, it was a technical question. The question came up, the answer came up, and I said the answer included saying that please take advice from a lawyer on this, right? So I wrote back to AI saying that I thought I had written this question to you because you are the advisor. Why are you asking me to take a second opinion, right? I
Right.
wanted to see what the AI does. And again, Pat gave the reply saying that this is normal practice for people to take second opinions. So it's intelligent. Okay,
It's
whatever
very smart.
the
Yeah.
algorithm is intelligent. But I think to your question, and I gave you this example to say that it's smart. AI is smart. To use AI is a smart thing, right? But just yet and I referred to this point earlier, just yet to say that it is the be all and end all is right now dangerous. Because it only works on a particular algorithm that's so far, whatever it's reached a stage where it is there so far. There's today at least there is no particularly for knowledge workers, particularly for the medical opinion. I mean, how angry do the doctors get when we go back to them and say, but Google said that this is the side effect. They said, do not use Google. How many times have you heard a doctor say that? So they're right that, at the end of the day, you go to the doctor, and if you feel that that's the right thing to do, then you go by that judgment because that is the experience that you have to rely on. So there's a lot of internal experience that builds up, which can even today supplement AI. AI is an enabler. It is not the ultimate solution provider. I think would be the right mantra at this point.
Yeah.
50 years from now, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And that's the right mantra across all generations, right? I talked about generational change earlier, and we are all big. I am a baby boomer, right? I was the last person to take a mobile phone in '99 because I said this is going to be very constricting until my boss said you better have a mobile phone. Okay, there were fresh days of mobile phone. But today I have changed. Today, when my boss said, "Boss, where are we on AI?" I said, "Yeah, you're right. Let's get." And believe me, in Dhruva, we have taken on this AI thing in the last 12 to 16 months. Before that, we didn't even know what AI was, right?
Correct.
I may be right in fact saying that. I'm sure a lot
A
of the
lot of
partners
changes.
knew,
Yeah.
a lot of people knew what AI was. But for us to imbibe it as something that the firm needs to look at is the last 12 to 18 months, right?
Mm.
So I think it is an enabler today. And
Mm.
I would certainly strongly suggest that it is not taken as the ultimate be all and end all. But yeah, definitely an important tool to save time to get various sources so that you can then verify and put it all together.
Yeah. I'll close it off with the way one of our advisors describes it. His name is Jean-Claude Monet. He's the ex-chief knowledge officer of Microsoft. He says you should think of AI as something that gives you the power of the first draft. But that's it. After that, it is all human. You cannot ask
Right.
AI and expect the final thing to be ready. The final thing still is
Absolutely right.
the human's job. So I think that's a very interesting that your thoughts match his so well. Wonderful. I don't see any questions. Maybe we'll have questions coming later. Vikram, what I'm going to do is, of course, this session and its learnings will go to all our friends in the community. We'll also introduce you through your LinkedIn. So if there's anybody who reaches out to you with questions, you know where it's coming from. But thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your time. Um,
Thank you for inviting me, Keith. Just one complaint that I will give is that there are so many knowledgeable people on your chat today that I would have loved to get something from them. And I hope that I can connect with people depending on what I
Hmm.
need
Well,
and how I
you
can
are.
learn more than need, what I can learn.
Well, we will try to get some of these other folks in some other sessions. Maybe we do a roundtable next time. We'll definitely figure a way to bring different voices together.
And I'll join you then as a listener.
Sounds, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you for being
Thank
here
you all.
today. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you
this.
for inviting me, and thank you all for your patience and your listening in.
Thank you, guys. This is the end
Thank you.
of Buzzbox Live. Take care. We'll talk soon again.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.